Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the brushes that we're going to be using, or at least the common brushes that we're going to be using um, throughout the month. Alright, so I'm going to open up Lightbox and I'm going to bring in, let's see, a thick plane. Okay, hide Lightbox, click and drag, there we go, and hit T to put it into edit mode. Alright. First thing I'm going to do is up the geometry on this a little bit. And one more time. And there we go. 2.5 million polygons. Alright. So let's just talk about some of the more common brushes, alright, that are used quite often here. The first one I want to talk about is the move brush. So if I hit B for brush, M for move, alright, I've got move elastic, move topological, and your basic move. Alright, I mostly use move topological and move. Alright, they do pretty close to the same thing, although if I'm working in a tight area, I'm going to use move topological. Okay, there are other move brushes. If we go into Lightbox and under brush and move this down a bit, we'll see here we've got move parts and move topo elastic and these other ones, and I don't even know what these ones do right here. I've never had a need to use them. Okay, there are more brushes in here than most people probably need. So our move brushes, I'm going to go to our standard move brush here. Okay, and I'm just going to pull this out, and you can see that's how that works. Right? It just moves your geometry out as you would expect. Okay, move topological does pretty much the same thing. Okay, although it seems to work a little bit better at a lower resolution. All right, there's a lot of polygons there right now. So that's what the move brush does, and we're going to use the move brush a lot, especially in our lower subdivision levels, as we adjust and shape the form and shape of the head. Okay, we use the move brush for a good chunk of getting our basic shape. The next brush are the clay brushes. Okay, there's the clay tubes, clay buildup. Now I use all of them at different times. The clay brush is a very soft brush. You can see how that lays the clay down very soft. All right, and we can hold down Shift and smooth that out. Always remember to adjust your smooth intensity. Every time you open up ZBrush and you hold down Shift, that's your smooth brush, and it always defaults to 100. And 100 is, in most cases, a little bit high. Until you learn to use the pressure sensitivity of your tablet and you start to develop a touch for it, just be aware of it. And quite often I slide it down to like 40 or 50 to begin with, and then adjust from there if I need it. If it's up too high and your poly count is a little bit low, when you smooth, you can virtually erase any of the sculpting you've done. So this is why you have to really be aware and be careful of the smooth intensity. Okay, so I'm going to just drop that down here a bit. I'm going to raise my poly count up here. All right, so that's the clay brush. You can see that's very soft. The clay tubes brush, which is a favorite of mine, puts the clay down in a little bit more, almost if you were laying clay down on a model. Okay, and I've got my smooth intensity set a little low. I'm going to up that, and even at 100. I'm working with 2 million polygons, so you can see that even at 100 it's not smoothing very well. So I would need to lower that down, maybe just to 1, or lower it down 1, smooth it out a bit. Okay, if it's still not smoothing well, I'll lower it down again, smooth it some more. and then step back up. Okay. So that's the clay tubes brush. Again, it lays it down in a sort of chunky and organic kind of way. The clay buildup is the same thing, but just slightly more aggressive. All right, so if you want to build up areas quickly, the clay buildup is a great brush for that. Along the same lines is the standard brush. So if we go B, then S, and there's our standard brush right there. Okay, excuse me. It lays down clay in a lot the same way. Let me get rid of this alpha. Okay, so this is the standard brush right here. Now, all of these brushes also work negatively as well. All right, we are adding clay here, but if I hold down Alt, now I can dig away clay, and that goes with any of the clay brushes. Right, the clay tubes brush, I can build up clay, hold down Alt, and take away clay. All right, and build it up. Use my smooth brush, smooth that out. All right. So all of those brushes right there will build up and take away. So I can build stuff up, hold down Alt, and then dig away. All right. And there are several areas on the model where we're going to want to dig away. Inside the ears, in the nostrils, along the temple area, under the zygomatic arch, maybe under the chin, along the neck. There's going to be several areas where we're just going to want to dig away a little bit of clay and then smooth it out again. Okay. Another brush that's used a lot that I like is the Inflate brush. All right, and there are several areas on your model that you can run the inflate along, like the helix of the ear, or perhaps the lips, the nostrils. Okay, along the eyelids. Sometimes you can inflate that up. This brush works the same way as well. If I hold down Alt, it becomes subtractive. Okay, that's the Inflate brush. Again, playing with the intensity will really jack up the effect. Okay, so that's the Inflate brush. Another brush I like is the Trim Dynamic brush. The Trim Dynamic brush is, I'll just maybe use the clay buildup here and just build up an area just quickly. And again, I can up my intensity on that to just build it up even more. All right, it's getting a little stretched there. So the Trim Dynamic brush just flattens stuff out. Okay, it gives it a bit of an edge. And this is good for, say, the sides of the nose if you want to planarize that a bit. All right, just to help you see your forms. All right, this is the Trim Dynamic brush. And the Trim Dynamic brush works a little bit differently when you hold down the Alt. It becomes additive when you hold down Alt, unlike the other brushes that become subtractive when you hold down Alt. All right, so just normally it's going to flatten it, kind of takes away some of the form. But if I hold down Alt, it will build up form. Okay, that's the Trim Dynamic brush. Another brush I use on occasion is the pinch brush. All right, the pinch brush does exactly as it sounds. I like to use the pinch brush in conjunction with Lazy Mouse, and the hotkey for Lazy Mouse is L. All right, so I hit L to turn on Lazy Mouse, and I'll kind of show you here what that does. So pinch does exactly what you think it'll do. And that little tail on there, that's the Lazy Mouse, okay? So let me up the intensity on there. And that little tail is going to average out the verts, or sorry, the polys there, to just give me a much smoother line. All right? And again, I can up the intensity and really pinch that if I want, but we have to be careful. The pinch brush does pull and stretch the geometry. Just like many of the other brushes, if I hold down Alt with the pinch brush, it will pinch in. Okay? So pinch normally and pinch with Alt. All right, now this is another brush I use along the edge of the lips, along the edge of the eyes, inside the ear in places I'll use it. Okay, so it's got a lot of functionality, the pinch brush. And there is one more brush that I'm just starting to learn how to use. It's brand new in this version of ZBrush. It's called the Curve Pinch. And I've been having a lot of fun with that in the laugh lines on the face, around the nostrils of the nose, okay? And this one works a little differently than other brushes, all right? In that when you click and drag, you get an action line, and when you let go, you can see that it pinches in right there, all right? So I'm finding that this has some uses on our model, okay? The cool thing about this, as you can see, is that I can grab the line, the curve there, and it is fully editable as long as I don't switch brushes. All right, I can, stretch it out or make it a little bit tighter. All right, and that brush works the same way as well as the other brushes. If I hold down Alt, it becomes additive. So I'm holding down Alt, and now it's raised it. All right, it's sort of like a cleaner version of the pinch brush. All right, again, be aware that Shift is your smooth brush. You don't have to go in. While there are some smooth, we have one smooth right there. If we go into Lightbox under Brush and just let's go back here. How come we can't? Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. If we come over to smooth, where are we? Here we go. All right. You'll see we have all kinds of smooth brushes. Smooth crease, smooth groups, parts, perpendicular, valance, smooth directional. I mean, there are so many kinds of smooth brushes. It's almost ridiculous. Okay. But sometimes this one, smooth peaks and smooth valleys, are very useful. And if I wanted to use one of these, I would double click it and I will get a warning window here saying that this brush will become my active smooth brush when I hold down Shift from now on. Okay? So I'm going to say OK. And now when I hold down Shift, you can see the smooth peaks is now my brush. And Smooth Peaks does exactly what it sounds like, okay? It will smooth the high points of a model, all right? And Smooth Valleys will do just the opposite, all right? So, again, I just like to work mostly with the regular smooth brush, okay? And making sure that I'm aware of the Z intensity as I'm using it by holding down Shift. Don't forget that it always defaults to 100 every time you open up ZBrush. All right, so you have to remember to come in and hold down Shift and adjust your smooth intensity. All right, so those are mostly the brushes that we're going to be using. There are other brushes in there that I may touch from time to time, but the ones that I showed you during this podcast are the ones that I use almost exclusively. All right, have fun, play around a bit, learn to explore and play with the brushes, and see what you come up with. All right, thanks, guys.